check out this super cute "You Are Amazing" maze card. So when you look at it here, there's got two end points. There's one there, and the ball that's inside will roll around and show you those different areas. So here's the little ball here, and there's the ending right there. And then up here at the top is where it can start. And you can just roll that through that entire maze. So let me show you how we put this card together. I've got all of my pieces cut out, and then here's our sample one sitting here. And what I've got is this light blue is going to be my background area. I've got this dark blue that's going to go on it. This piece is optional, but I am going to go ahead and layer that one on there. This is the part that's going to show through the back side of the maze. And then it'll also show up behind the "You Are Amazing" text on there. So I'm just going to put some liquid glue on this. For this part, you could use liquid glue, you can use tape runner, double-sided tape, whatever works for you. For some of these simple ones, I really enjoy using the liquid glue. Then I have a little bit of time to go ahead and move things around. And I apologize for my video here. It's I've been doing these via like Bluetooth from my phone to my computer, and I've been noticing I'm having a lot of issues lately with the connection, so I apologize. But we'll go ahead and get that layered on there, and then you'll see for this one, I've got a blue layer that has the maze and then the "You Are Amazing" cut out, and this is going to be the base. It's got the text on there. Again, I'm going to use some liquid glue to get that tacked down. I think liquid glue for this one is probably going to be the easiest choice, since you need to get in around all of those little sections to make sure that it's stuck down well. I like doing layering it up like this instead of putting all of the maze pieces together first, because I cut those out of foam, and foam can kind of move and change the way that it appears. So I like to put this down first and then lay the foam on top of it, so that way I can make sure that the foam is all laid down in the correct areas. So I'm just adding some glue here in between all of the tiny letters. It's that fine balance of enough glue, but not too much that it squeezes out. But luckily, this glue will dry clear, so unless you're inspecting it very close, you won't quite notice all of the glue if some does smush out. So we'll go ahead and get this flipped over, and then we'll line that up. This is going to fit the exact same size as that dark blue layer that's on there, so all of your edges and everything should just line up nice and flush. We'll go ahead and flip that over. So I'm just going to concentrate on lining up my top corners first to just make sure everything's going to lay down well. Get those sides, and then kind of those top and bottom corners, and then if you can have those aligned, everything else should just fall perfectly into place. And this is why I like using the liquid glue, because I can just move things around if I need to. And then when you're happy with the placement, we can go ahead and just give everything a nice press. Okay, that looks good. Go ahead and just press, and I'm just careful around these letters when I'm pressing, getting rid of any extra glue that's there while I can. Especially around that maze. So the openings in the maze is where your little ball is going to roll around. So you want to try to get those cleaned up the best that you can and get these really adhered down, get rid of any extra glues to minimize any issues with your ball not being able to roll around. Okay, that looks pretty darn good. I'm happy with that. So now comes the fun part. And we are going to work on the actual maze. Okay, so you see I've cut out just the area around the maze. You've got this one rectangle in the file, and I cut it out of craft foam 3 times. For the little balls that I'm using, I had to do 3 layers of this craft foam to make enough depth inside of the maze for that ball to roll around freely, because we're going to put that acetate piece on top. Now, for this craft foam, I definitely recommend using some liquid adhesive, or if you have double-sided tape, there is some craft foam out there that already has tape on it. Just know that the liquid adhesive is going to take a little bit of time for it to dry. But go ahead and just add that liquid adhesive all around. You do want to be mindful not to put too much on there, because again, you don't want it squirting out the edges, because that will leave spots where your ball is going to have trouble rolling. So I'm just going to add some glue to the back of this, and then we're going to set it down perfectly right on top of that blue layer on the card. And then I can use my fingers to just manipulate those edges around to make sure that they fit perfectly on top of that. So this is when you just want to take your time. You can see I'm just focusing on that one corner, getting all those corners correct, and then just manipulating that foam ever so slightly to get everything lined up. And then you can see I have to kind of put my fingernail in there to get those edges lined up perfectly. And this is worth the time that it takes to get everything aligned really well. So just take your time, make sure all of those corners, that everything is aligned right where you want it. And then I'm going to go ahead and press something heavy on that to set that aside, let it dry, and then give that some time to dry. And then I will come back and add the next layer on top of it, again using that liquid foam, or the liquid glue on the foam. Okay, I've got all 3 layers of the foam under there drying with that heavy thing on top of it. And then I've got my piece of acetate. This is what I'm going to work on next. This is what's going to go on top of your craft foam to seal the ball in place. And for this, I'm going to use some double-sided tape. So I've got some sheets of double-sided tape, and I will link those below in the supply area. And with this, I went ahead and cut some strips, and I'm just going to go around the edges. I'm not worried about putting this completely across the center, though if you want it to stick better and not like kind of puff up around the center, you certainly could go through and then add your double-sided tape to every piece of the maze. And then to finish off this card, I did on this top layer on this one here, you can see I used that same blue, and I used a mixture of that double-sided tape and then some tape runner for the outer edges. And this is just to clean everything up to give it a nice finished look. I'm placing this on top of the acetate sheet. I went ahead and put the ball on the inside. We'll get this lined up really well, and then go ahead and get that pressed. And then just making sure everything is smoothed on there really well. If I need to press the edges of that around, I can a little bit. And then taking the time to clean up any glue that may have snuck out of the edges of that top piece there. But that is our completed You Are Amazing card. So you can see the difference here doing it the same color versus the demo one I did in multiple different colors. It just gives it a very different look doing it that way. But then you can go through and you can write your personal message on the back. If you would like, there's plenty of space back there. You could also cut another sheet to add to the back. But then go ahead and just give that a test and roll that little ball around and see if you can't make yourself a maze. Okay, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this little maze card, and I will see you in the next video.